I've seen plenty of rehabs go sideways because of simple mistakes that could have been avoided. Whether you're about to flip your first property or you're just new to rehabbing, these mistakes, they can cost you time, money, and stress. So I am going to break down each of these mistakes where we're going to go over the errors of others, including myself, so that we can help set you up for success during your next project. Welcome back to my channel. I'm John. I'm an investor and rehabber here in St. Louis. I'm also the vice president for a real estate company here where we serve out-of-state clients investing in St. Louis. Today, I'm going to be talking about 10 rehab rookie mistakes that I want you to avoid. I've committed some of these. I've talked to people who've committed some of these. I've talked to people who are on the verge of committing some of these. So I figured, let me just make a video. We're going to review it, and then you can just add this to the toolkit of your real estate, personal, and professional development. So number one is going to be no timeline. So whenever we get our bid from the contractor, even if it's soft, try to get some type of timeline. How long does it take you to complete this project? I just talked to, we had to cut up 4 feet around the entire perimeter of a basement because we had some flooding down there, and I had to get some estimates to have it replaced, have it re-drywall, painted, and one contractor can do it for under a week. The other contractor is saying that it'll take him 2 to 3 weeks. And while I know it's work involved with both contractors, the 2 to 3 weeks just seem very long. But imagine if I didn't, and it's not a big basement at all. Imagine if I didn't get the timeline up front, I wouldn't have known that. And I would have gotten to like maybe a week and a half. And he hasn't sort of executed in a timely manner like the other contractor may have. So in that situation, the timeline is actually more important to me than the price. For you, the price may be more important, and you say, hey, I'll sacrifice the 3 weeks. But for me, I just knew that it doesn't take that long, even for the joint compound to dry. It doesn't take that long. It's still very hot here in St. Louis, so it's going to dry. But the timeline is very important. You want to get that with your quote whenever you're getting your bids from your contractor. So make sure that we get our timeline. Next up is going to be no unforeseen. We want to always have a contingency budget or else an uh-oh budget. So if our project costs 40, I'll just say $20,000. Let's set aside maybe 1,000 or 1,500 in case something happens. What you don't, and typically we go, I didn't do the math, but typically we go 10% of whatever the project cost is. Now, if you're going out a full rehab, you're working in your town city where the buildings are 100 years old, then feel free to itch that up to 15, 20% because you're gonna find things whenever you're working in buildings that old. But if it's a pretty cosmetic rehab, you won't really be undoing too many things in there. It's gonna be mainly vinyl plank flooring, quarter round paint. You aren't really touching any of the mechanicals. Then your unforeseen can be lower at that 10%. So you sort of have to gauge what type of project it is you're about to take on. I've started projects knowing that we're going to have some unforeseens. It's some things that's not in my scope of work right now that we're going to have to encounter and complete before we'll be able to close our permits on this property or before we'll be able to pass occupancy. I just can't see it right now. So I need to set aside money for things that I can't see. You need to set aside money for things that you can't see right now, because the last thing you want to do is to get stuck in a project or have to maybe wait until payday. I'm going to take some money from my personal check to put into my project, or I'm going to ask my private lender for a little extra money. Typically, you don't want to disturb your private lender after they've already deployed the capital. They're looking for you as the operator to be able to take that project to the finish line. So, but that's all dependent upon the relationship. If you have a good relationship, he knows that you're a flipper. He knows that you go and turn houses upside down and you find things, and you can still borrow more money from him and still be at a great LTV, loan to value, to where he's protected, then you'll be just fine. But typically you want to account for this up front by taking 10, 15, 20% and just setting it aside. In case something happens, you're able to keep rolling along with your project. So number 3 is going to be multiple bids. Multiple bids is just a good practice Also, it's a really good practice if you're new because this is going to help you learn the market. So if you need some vinyl plank ran in your home, you got guys coming in at 250 a square, 250 a square, 275 a square. Then you get some guy that's 450 a square. Now you pretty much know where the market is, and nothing against that guy that's 450. He may do great work, but you know that 75% of the market came in at 250 to 275 a square. So even when you're building out your budget before you start to deploy contractors, because whenever you send these guys there as well, so this is you want to be cognizant of as you're getting multiple bids, because what's going to happen is if you get a contractor and you're always sending him out to get a bid just so you can enhance your knowledge as a project manager or an investor, and he doesn't win any of the jobs, he's going to stop answering your call. So that's somebody you can cross off the list. You won't be able to leverage him anymore. So keep that in mind whenever you're sending guys out. So we ran into that a couple of times when we're sending contractors out, sending foundation companies out, or even just to get a bid. Like, we may not even move forward with the work. Just think, when in doubt, put yourself in the shoes of whoever it is that you're doing business with. If someone constantly called you to go out, and this takes time too, write up a quote, put it on letterhead, send it over to you. They can just text it over to you as well. But typically, they have a process for whenever they're sending a quote. After I do that 4, 5, 6 times with the same person, I'm good, because it's a waste of time. That time that I'm going there now, I can use that time to go secure new business or go work with someone who has awarded me jobs. But going back, when you start to get multiple bids, you're going to learn the market. So if you know that flooring, I can get this done for $250 a square, you can set that budget when you're organizing your project before you even have to send out a contractor. So that's a guarantee. Or whenever you're walking the property with a seller, walking the property with an agent, you can measure your floors and hey, I can get this floor, I can get the flooring done in this home for $3,000. It's something you already know because you got 3 contractors that already said that they'll do it for $250 a square. Again, I didn't do the math there, so I don't know if $250 a square lines up to $3,000. So, but my point was, the more you start to work with different contractors, the more you're going to learn market pricing. However, be careful as you're working with contractors and you're sending them out on jobs that you can't hire all 3. And if that's your process moving forward, that pool is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller because they're going to associate you with someone who just wastes their time. So keep that in mind. I understand we got to send them out to get the information, and at the same time, we have to nurture the relationship. So that's going to come more on your soft skills. I can't fix that on the whiteboard. Next up is going to be relying only on pictures. I've told some stories on the picture. I've had stories told to me on the picture. Bottom line, don't just rely on pictures. I mean, we could take angles. We can miss certain things. Like, there can be something here that I don't want you to see, and I'll light this room up with pictures to where you think that I know what's going on in that room, but it's a part that you still don't know. And I may just take it this way just to secure payment, and I'll come back and get that. But no, if the agreement was for this entire room to be done, I need the entire room to be done before payment. So walk your property. Don't rely on pictures. Pictures are great. Set the expectation. Hey, at the closeout of every week, I would like pictures, but don't just rely on pictures. Have you ever seen a house listed online, and when you go and view the property, it looks a lot worse than the pictures? Because pictures can tell a completely different story than the naked eye whenever you're walking the property. So don't rely on them, but we need pictures. We should know, don't pay in full up front. Don't do your contractors like that. Don't set them up for that type of temptation, for that type of, when you pay in full up front, right? They don't have the incentive to come back and finish the work. For example, I'm a contractor. I get paid in full. I don't have anything. I don't have any payment waiting for me on the back end. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, hey, it's not even worth it for me to really do the work. I can go and get paid for my time, even though you did get paid for your time. It's just someone made the mistake of paying you up front because this money can dissolve really quick and not be tied to the current project, right? This money that's been paid in full up front. So I work for a real estate company. We have multiple projects going on at a time. So we may run multiple projects on a credit card, and we work closely with our bookkeeper to whenever expenses are coming in, we have to log it to this house, log it to that house. And we also have several project accounts to where each project is put into its own bank account. You may have some contractors who have that type of operation, but most of them don't. They maybe have a few accounts and they're running multiple projects through it. So you give them payment in full, you can rest assured that they've just sort of closed out some of their other projects that they just needed to have done. They needed to bring capital in. You don't want that. You want your funds going toward your project. So a few ways that I've seen it, of course, is to let the money trail the work. Most contractors are going to want some type of deposit. I've seen 50-50. I've seen breaking it up into one third, one third, one third. Also for work like demolition, I've seen that like at the end, you get paid at the end. I really don't have any recourse against you as a contractor, or if it was me running one of your projects, you don't have much recourse against me unless you sued me. But like me, I know where your property is. I can come to you. I can be a problem for you. I can start to like make things hard for you if you aren't doing right by paying me. So just create a structure or create a payment cadence and follow it. It cannot be paying in full upfront. I will, under no circumstance will I ever give you that type of advice. Just talk with your contractor and you can lay that out. Some guys may want to do 50-50, but if you lay it out like, hey, I'm going to pay you 1/4. I'll give you 1/4 upfront. Then once we're done here, then I'll give you a payment. But the industry standard is even when you're working with hard money lenders, they want you to deploy that capital first, and then they'll come and trail you. It just helps to protect your investment. And if everyone's being truthful, no one should get burned in that type of relationship. Because I don't know, when I work, I get paid a week or two after I've already deployed work. So it's very, very rare to just get paid up front without doing any work. And if you don't have a relationship with that contractor, it's very, very risky, especially if you aren't using trackable forms of payment. If you're sending Cash App, things like that. And what's going to happen is you're going to get burned. And then in order to take them to court, you're like, it's not worth it to hire a lawyer. My lawyer fees alone is about what I sent him for that first deposit. So you don't want to get caught up like that to where you sort of now you just have to take the L on the chin. I'm a little embarrassed. I don't want to post it on Facebook that I got burned. So just keep that in mind and move along with the principles, which is never to pay in full. Next is going to be low property visits, or you're not visiting your property. You should be going there several times a week just to check in. Also, when you go, it should be a meaningful visit as well, meaning that you have your scope of work open and you're checking off what's complete. What's not complete, leave it unchecked, because you're going to walk it with your contractor and they're going to tell you, oh yeah, we're about done. We finishing up. We should be done in X amount of days. But when you actually go through the scope of work, you can't check it off because it's not all the way complete. And if you guys didn't build out a schedule, they may have started over in this part of the house, started in the basement, started upstairs. So now you have so many things open, as opposed to, I love to finish things and close off sections of the house to where we know that we are 100% done there. We can, when my bathrooms are closed off, now I can bring my glazer in. So you sort of want to build a timeline and a domino effect there. So I want to get the house prepped to where my tub and tile glazer can come in. I want to get the house prepped to where, okay, cool. Like I'm done with all my MEP work, so I can at least call the inspector to close out this building permit. We may still have some carpentry and finish work, but let's get it to where I can get this on the schedule to get this inspector in and out of here. And then we can bring in our finisher, or maybe now I can bring in my cleaner. So that's going to be very important as you're managing a project. So you need to be visiting the property. Phone calls are great. Pictures are great. You need to walk the property with your scope of work. You need to walk the property, checking if you're purchasing materials, checking on your inventory, making sure you're good, make sure you have anything. If there's anything that needs to go back, at least you have an account of it that'll be able to be returned and put back on your credit card or your Visa. Also, for any unforeseen, sometimes your contractors, they run into hurdles and they may not slow down to communicate it to you. There, you should be an open book. Hey, what's going on? Is there anything that maybe wasn't in the scope or anything that you guys have ran into? And then there they can let you know. Yeah, actually, when we open this wall up, your stack is cracked. And they're just now telling you that. But that's going to have to be addressed. Also, you're going to have to open the wall to address it. So you want to make sure you don't have to move any cabinets or it's not behind anything major. You just want that type of information, which is going to come from you walking the property and knowing. They can call you too, but you still need to walk the property and get eyes on your project. I've tried it just doing it from the desk, but unless you get a really, really, really good no, you're the project manager, you're the investor, so you have to do it. I was going to say, unless you get a good project manager or a good general contractor, but I'm assuming that this video, I'm talking to someone who's maybe GCing their own project or who's project managing their own project. So yes, I love delegation. I love getting someone else to do it, but unless they're like you have to you have to do it. So I say all that to say is I've tried to just do it where I'm at the desk. I'm at my pictures. I'm over the phone, but when I walk it, it's going to be different from how you envision the finish of your project. So if you got the personnel, if you got the team members to where you can do it and you can be in the office and you know that they're going to go and be the closest representation of you, then go for it. But at least I think I'm talking to people who are maybe managing their own flip or managing their own rental rehab. So I'm telling you to make time to go out and walk your properties. Make time to go out and walk and see if the guys are at your property. That's going to be with the timeline. If they say that they're going to be there Monday through Friday during business hours, when you come, somebody should be there. Maybe they left for lunch, midday, but somebody should be there. When you don't walk it, you don't know. And then you like, why is my project taking longer? It's because they're coming to your project at 6 o'clock at night and they're only working to 8. And they're dead tired because they've given someone else their prime business hour time, but you wouldn't know that, and you have to get caught up on that, and you have to make a decision. We just had to let two teams go because it was just dragging along. We can tell that we weren't a priority. We would come to our job site and there was nothing to do. And you may hear excuses that I was waiting on this, I was waiting on that. No, it's still plenty of other things in the scope of work that can be executed. So we're never really stuck to where we can't get work done, but you need to go to the property. You need to be going with your scope of work whenever you're visiting. So that's going to lead us to no scope of work. You guys will be surprised that there's some people that start projects without no scope of work. You need this. Your scope of work is your compass. That's going to let you know exactly what you want done, what you don't want done. That's giving clear written instructions to your contractor on what they're supposed to do. So you got, if you're new, right? I'm working with a young lady and her building is in it needs a complete rehab. So she just called contractors in for them to give her a bid on the work, but she didn't really present any type of scope of work or anything like that to her. And that's cool. If you trust that contractor, you have a good relationship with them, or maybe it's your first time ever doing anything and you don't know how to build out a scope of work. You need the contractor to sort of take that first step, which is cool. If everything works out, everything works out. But if it doesn't, you're leaning on the contractor to build out your scope of work, which of course he's going to make sure is. I just don't like it. I'm used to building out my own scopes of work or having a member of my team build out the scope of work. And then from there, I can hand that to the contractor with the budget. Hey, can you hit this budget? Or else if I don't have the numbers on it, I can hand it to him with my clear scope of work. How much am I looking at to have this executed? I know not everyone is in that position, but ideally that's where I would want you to be, to where you're more driving the ship. And remember, as you start to get multiple bids, you'll be able to start to put budgets together to give to the contractor. And believe it or not, it makes their job a lot easier when they can walk in and they know you got a thorough scope of work. The budget's 35. Yeah, I can do it for 35. As opposed to them walking, taking measurements, doing this, let me do this. Go back to the office, taking all this. All right. So 38.97 is what, but it took them time as opposed to these contractors. They do so many jobs. They know in the ballpark what me and my team can get this done for. And if you came in, you hit it 35 and they're like, yeah, this is about 35. I'm in and out, already got the scope. So you can move forward a lot faster. It's going to take time to get there, but I say scope of work, but also just something in writing what they're going to be doing and what they're not going to be doing. That way there's no confusion, because things can be lost in translation whenever you're giving out instructions or you want someone to do something in this sort of rehab and construction space. So always have a scope of work. Next is going to be getting started without knowing the budget. Again, I know that this is if we're new, we may not know the budget. So we want to, all right, I'll even say getting started without knowing the budget, without getting all of your contractor bids in and having an at a glance table of what this project will cost you. Okay. So you need to know this is a $47,000 project from start to finish. You want to know that before you break ground, before you start on the project. It's some towns that, you have to pay a fee just while your building is vacant. Also, whenever you start on the project, now it's liability to get it done, get it occupied, get it sold. What's the liability? While I'm holding on to this property, we can have a storm come. While I'm holding on to this property, we can have a break-in. While I'm holding on to this property, a pipe can burst and flood. So I want to get in and out of this property. Of course, I want everything fixed, but even when things are fixed, things still happen. Even when everything is fixed, a tree can still fall, a pipe can still burst. And while you're still managing that project, now you're going to have to take care of it in order to move the project forward. And again, that's that unforeseen. So hopefully we had an unforeseen. Now, if you have a tree fall or something like that, that's going to blow right through your unforeseen. You're going to have to get the insurance company involved. But for the most part, when things like that happen, a pipe burst, a break-in, maybe they stole the stove, our unforeseen should be able to cover that to where we can maybe wait to the very, very, very end of the project. Then you can bring the appliance back in. But like a burst of pipe, you want to get your plumber over as soon as possible, get the main water shut off so that we don't cause any water damage. So do your best to know what your budget is going to be from the start to finish before you break ground on the project. Next up is no lien waivers and W-9. So we have to get that paperwork. What's the lien waiver? So me as a contractor, if I'm doing work on your property and if you don't pay me, I can put I'll go downtown and I'll file a mechanics lien on your property. You owe me $20,000. So whenever you go to sell this property, your title is going to be clouded. Hey, you're trying to sell this property, you're trying to get up out of it, and you still owe someone some money. John came over, he did this bathroom for you, you did not pay him, you're not going to be able to sell your house. Or else you are, and we're going to pay John off. So I'll get a call from title. Hey, we got so-and-so here, they're trying to sell it. We see that you have a mechanics lien, what's going on there? Yeah, I remember how she didn't pay me. So that's how a mechanics lien worked. So you still owe someone money, you didn't pay them, they can put a mechanics lien on your property. How do we make sure that we are good, that when we get the title, nothing is clouding our title from a mechanics lien standpoint, is that we get a lien waiver at the end of our project. So that lien waiver, you should get that signed sort of when you're that final payment. Most big companies, big box, or they've taken the time to sort of build out systems. They have an admin team working, or maybe a lady up front working at the desk. That'll be a part of them sort of closing out your project. They'll have a lien waiver signed that they'll give to you. They'll have a W-9 signed that they'll give to you. But if not, that should be a part of your process, is to get the lien waiver signed. Most title companies, whenever you're going to sell the property, if work has been done in the last 12 months, they're going to request lien waivers and receipts anyway. Next up is your W-9. You need your contractors to sign the W-9 for tax liability. So this money that's moving around, taxes have to be paid on it. You're paying the contractor, they're receiving income, so they should be paying taxes on that. If you aren't getting W-9s, some of that liability can come back to you. Now, the specifics of it, you'll want to talk with your CPA, your tax professional, or whoever you're working with. But the principle behind it is, whenever you're paying out someone, they need to fill out a W-9. And then when it's tax time, you need to send them a 1099, or have your accountant send them a 1099 of the income that they've made with you, and they should be filing that with their taxes so that they can pay taxes on that income. Okay, so you may get some pushback on that. So if you need to know that up front, if you're getting pushback, either you figure something out, or else you go with a different contractor. If they're refusing up front to do that, that's great news for you. So now you know that you need to pivot. That's not the contractor for you to work on this type of project for. So, and lastly, it's going to be no permits, not pulling the proper permits. I don't know why before I got started in real estate, people made permits seem like it was the boogeyman. And yes, it can be annoying sometimes, but like, I get through it. If you're doing MEP work, what's MEP? Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Here, at least here in St. Louis, you better pull your permits, especially out in St. Louis County. If they even see new cabinets, they know that you had to undo the plumbing and put the plumbing back to put the sink back on there. And then whenever you have new cabinets, whatever's the current electrical code for the receptacles above the counter, that needs to be met. So we just pull an integrated building permit. So me as a project manager, as a GC, I can pull the building permit, and then my plumber, I just give him the permit number, he signs onto it. My electrician, I give him the permit number, he signs onto it, or else they can get their own. But typically I just pull the building permit, and then they can sign onto it. When you don't pull these permits, some things that you risk are, so that's St. Louis County. St. Louis County is the big dog here in St. Louis. Then you have smaller municipalities, right? And you don't pull a permit, the mayor or the inspector, they can live right next door. They can live right across the street. Sometimes you don't know who lives on the street that you live on. They'll put on their little badge. They wear it like a badge, and some of them are even armed as well. And they'll walk up on you and they'll shut it down. They'll say, hey, go and get your $50 permit and then come back. We had someone stop us from tuck pointing on the outside of the house before. It was a small municipality. I think it was called Velda City or Beverly Hills here in St. Louis. And they'll pull up on you and shut you down. Same in St. Louis County. If they happen to catch you, it's bigger, so you can sort of fly under the radar a little bit in terms of being caught. You can still get caught at the end because they have to come and do the occupancy inspection. And if they start to see new stuff, they're like, where's the permit? But as far as pulling up on you, they may not get to catch you because they have so much territory. But again, the smaller municipalities, they're out driving their neighborhoods. We've gotten shut down over in Velda City. We've gotten shut down in Moline Acres. We were getting the sump pump and drain tile. They wanted us to go and pull a permit because you got guys coming out with big things of gravel, put gravel out and running the pipes inside because they know at the very least you guys need a dedicated receptacle for your actual sump pump. So we need an electrical permit. Some may make you get a building permit or a work permit as well. So I just say all that to just pull your permits. Even here in St. Louis, some areas we have to get a dumpster permit. Now, if you're putting the dumpster inside of the driveway, they may not make you do it. But if you're putting it on the street, they're going to want a dumpster permit. So just get the permit. How the process works is you'll go online. For us, you'll go online, you'll apply. You're going to have to sketch it up. So you can work with sketching it up on your notebook as far as you can. But I like to just go ahead and use a software. I use a software called ArcSite. It's still very, very basic, but at least it's neat. It's organized. I can put my measurements in there, and then I'll just submit my plans to the county. I've even gotten to where I sort of know the lady who sort of pushes it. So if it's sort of sitting, I'm seeing it pending for a while, I'll shoot an email asking, is there anything else that's needed from me? And then we'll get it pushed, and then it's approved. So your plans are approved. The permit has been approved. Put that on your windows. Now you can work and you don't got to peek outside before coming or like, hey, don't open the door for anyone or just don't have to worry about the risk of being shut down. You're working legit. it is going to take up time. So with that timeline, keep that in mind. So that will keep up time. Just getting approval up front. St. Louis is not as bad as some of the other places that, at least for smaller residential projects, than some of the other places across the country. But you'll get your approval, and then at the end they'll come and inspect. If you didn't do something, they'll say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a partial, or if we're gonna fail you, just bring you guys back out, correct this, then call us back out." And then you get passed, and now you can sell the property. Hey, we passed all of our inspections. We passed our building inspection. All video has stopped, but I was just wrapping up with the permitting process. Get your permits so you don't have to worry about getting shut down, and then you can work without being all paranoid. So these are the 10 rehab rookie mistakes that I've noticed, some that I've committed, some that friends and colleagues have committed, and some that I see people sort of walking into. So I figured just create a video on it. If you have any questions, drop a comment, or just let me know if you like the video, if you want to see more videos like this. Yeah, just leave me a comment. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers, so if you did enjoy this information, just go ahead and subscribe. My goal is to have at least one video coming to you every week. So I'll see you guys on next week's video.